Hi, I'm Sharon Verona. I'm from Arkansas. I have two horses that I purchased about 6 years ago. Didn't know a lot about horses, but I've loved them my whole life. So I started out in traditional training, just whoever I could find in my area to start teaching me, along with a lot of education online. So I started out with natural horsemanship, worked on that for probably 4 years. Um, and as I got into it, I started to question some of the things. So you could say my belief system started to be tested. I learned a lot through natural horsemanship, but I noticed my horses were really stressed with a lot of the pressure that I was putting on them. And 3 years ago, I learned about clicker training. I actually went to a local clinic, and it rocked my world. I never heard of it, never heard of positive reinforcement. And after a few hours of attending that clinic, a couple of days, I came home and I knew that things had to change. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but it had to. So at that point, I started researching, I started reading books, everything I could get my hands on online, and jumped into it. Hasn't been easy to let go of my stick and string and my predatory types of emotions and my stance, but through the years, I have slowly let that go, and I've learned to give the horse a choice in the relationship. And we've had amazing things happen, and we've also had some issues. So it's easy, but yet it's hard. I mean, it's both. And today I actually had a young girl come to my home. She's been around horses for 18 years, and she's never seen anything like this in her life. And her jaw was dropped, and she said, "Teach me." She was like, "I want to know more." And so that's so exciting that the next generation is just excited about this. So I hope I can be someday, a teacher, an advocate to try to help horses, teach humans so that they can interact with horses in a better way. As I progressed with clicker training, within a month or two, I noticed my horse transformed into this amazing puzzle solver. He was on it. He was not running away from me at the end of the line anymore, and we were doing more at liberty. But I was feeding basically fast and quickly for the same behaviors over and over and over again, just standing or touching a target. And I was never changing or increasing the criteria. So I wasn't looking for it. I missed it. What I was doing was feeding as my horse was getting more tense. He's a gelding. So I noticed he started dropping. And then after a while, he's pinning his ears, and he is projecting head threats towards me. And last, probably November, actually kicked out at me as I was slowly walking up to him. That was not my horse before clicker training. So I did something to his emotions, and I didn't know what had happened. And I found Melissa Deal, and she has been helping me for a while to work through this, because I've learned that by feeding and presentation and timing without variability gave the horse a lot of tension, anxiety. From what I've read, we've brought to light the rage system and the seeking system, because he kept on seeking more food. How do I get it? How do I get it? He wasn't in a learning state. And so I have created this very aggressive, frustrated horse. And so I had to step back and get professional help. And so I found Melissa. Here she is 1,000 miles from my doorstep. How am I going to do this? And we did it. We started with occasional lessons, and then I also decided to do a good, I guess it was 3 months of weekly lessons using video recordings of just snippets of 2 or 3 minutes of me working with Hershey. She would look at those, evaluate them. I would have a lesson on the phone, and I would take notes, recording those lessons so that I could go back and take the 6 or 7 pages of notes from our lesson so I could reread them. And over the last few months, I have learned to be more cognizant of what I do around that horse, and to watch his emotions in everything I do. And we have had a transformation. We're not perfect because I fall back into my same patterns of just wanting to click feed. And I can't do that because he gets frustrated. But we have made huge improvements. And I'm where I am today, and Hershey and Rio are both in a good place, but we still have a long way to go. And Melissa helped us get there. Once we got through this stage of me almost being fearful of him, to now I can be close to him. I've spent a lot of time, undemanding time of just being close to him, just approach, retreat. And we are now to a point where, you know, I can brush him, I can ask him to lift up his feet without him trying to hurt me. So now he knows that he's not getting fed for every single behavior, and that the criteria has been increased. So we actually have learned to bow. He's learned to bow on both sides with both legs. You know, no ropes, no force, no sticks, just a target. And this big, huge, almost 1,700-pound Clydesdale paint cross will tuck his face, his forehead, and put it on the ground and rock back, and which is an amazing thing to see. I mean, people stop breathing when they see it. He is also, he's learned to back. I can just hold a hair from his tail and ask him to back, and he will. Just lots of amazing things like that. You know, here I am at 57 years old and I want to jump. So we've been popping over like 2-foot little fences. And so I've learned that once we get over the fence, I stop, and to get his emotions down, we've learned a head down signal where I scratch his withers and say head down, and he drops his head to the sand, and the anxiety just dissipates. The other, when I'm out riding in pastures with all this fresh grass, he dives for the grass, and I decided one day I'm tired of pulling the reins up and shaking the reins and asking him to get his head up. There has to be a way to shape this to where he will lift his head when I ask him to. So we, of course, started with head down, a head down cue. So I would scratch his withers, his head would go down, and he could eat grass. So then to get his head up, I started to ride with a target and bend over, or just lean over and present the target and say touch and head up. So in just no time at all, this horse was lifting his head up from lush pasture to get his treat. So now I can say head down, and I can say head up, and he will do it on cue, which is nice. And I showed that today to a new friend, and she's never seen anything like that, to leave lush clover when all I say is head up. And he pops his head up now. His name is Rio. He's Hershey's best friend. And he loves people, is in my space all the time, taking my hat off, nipping me. And so I also decided that he needs some of this. And so we've worked on lots of things, but one thing that we have accomplished just in less than a month was for him to go to a target and stay there in the paddock. When I direct him from outside of the paddock to go and stay there, I will then go in, halter Hershey, lead him out, and stand there while Rio is standing by his target. Then I'll go in and click and feed and release. And that is blowing everybody away that comes here. They cannot believe that all I have to do is say, Rio, go touch. And he is like, okay, and walks away, 15, 20 feet and goes and he'll stand by his target until I release him. And it's really amazing. I was being negative. It was back Rio, get, just negative. Your face is sour, mine was, and, you're bugging me, get away. I need to get Hershey out. And now it's all positive. Rio, go touch. And he'll stand there and wait for his reinforcement. And then everybody's happy. I'm happy, Rio's happy, and I'm able to just manage the horses in a much better way. And also this goes for at feeding time. I will call them up, I'll stand outside of the gate, and I'll just say, Rio, touch, Hershey, touch. And they are probably, I would say, about 40 feet apart, 50 feet, and they stand there and they wait at their targets and their bowls, and I'll go and dump their feed in each bowl, and everybody's happy and it's calm.